R.V. Lapshin Peruvian Polygonal Masonry, How, Who, When and What for Publishing Solutions under license from Rodero Moscow 2025. Rostislav Vladimirovich Lapshin Peruvian Polygonal Masonry, How, Who, When and What for, 148 pp. Publishing Solutions, Moscow, 2025. ISBN 978-5-0067-0769-6. The monograph covers the problem of reproduction of the most complicated for implementation type of a polygonal masonry existing in Peru using simplest means. This masonry type consists of large stone blocks weighing from several hundred kilograms to several tons fitted almost without a gap between complicated curved surfaces over a large area. The proposed methods are based on the use of a reduced clay model, 3D, pantograph, topography translator and replicas. The Fortress Sacsayhuaman has been identified as a survived-to-our-time example of early star fortresses. The polygonal structures in Peru, the polygonal face towers and polygonal bas-reliefs in Cambodia, the symmetrical and geometrically similar statues of pharaohs in Egypt are based on the alike construction technologies, working methods, tools and technical contrivances. All these monuments were created by people belonging to the same European group guild of architects, sculptors, builders and could not have appeared earlier than the 17th century, the time of invention of a 2D pantograph. Besides the technical and processing aspects related to the polygonal masonry, the book provides an explanation of the base of the Peruvian economy of the time of the large-scale megalithic construction prosperity on its territory, as well as the purpose of this construction. Analysis of the tired stones in Ollantaytambo, the unfinished obelisk in Aswan and the Baalbek monoliths has shown that all of these incredibly ancient monuments are fakes. The book explains in detail how and with what tools the unfinished Aswan obelisk was actually formed. Analysis of the symmetry and fabrication process of the Queen Nefertiti bust has shown that the world-famous bust is a forgery. At the end of the book, a hypothesis is put forward regarding the functional purpose of the mysterious Sabu disc, which has been exciting the minds of Egyptologists around the world for decades. The book is intended for a wide range of readers interested in the topic of the polygonal masonry. A general engineering education is necessary to understand some issues. The book will be useful to mechanical engineering and civil engineering students seeking to expand their horizons. Figures 22, Photographies 87, Illustrations 2, References 148. Contents 1. Introduction 1.1. Design features of the dry polygonal masonry 1.2. Construction material used 1.3. Comparative analysis of fabrication methods, pros and cons 1.4. Historical, economic, political, civilizational and other aspects 2. Tools, contrivances and methods of fabrication of the polygonal masonry 2.1. Clay model shape transfer on a stone billet by means of a 3D pantograph 2.2. Pantograph application for fabrication of the polygonal masonry blocks by casting 2.3. Usage of replicas 2.3.1. Replica pancake 2.3.2. Replica of replica 2.3.3. Bunch of rods instead of the replica of replica 2.4. What else was the clay model of the object needed for? 2.5. What are the advantages of the pantograph over a replica? 2.6. Reverse approach, clay model creation by a stone billet, formation of the interface surface and its transfer on the stone billet 2.7. Several more advantages of the pantograph 2.8. Method combining elements of the replica, clay model and pantograph methods 2.8.1. Design peculiarities of the wall of 6 monoliths and other structures of the temple sector in Ollantaytambo 2.9. Planetary pantograph for use in construction 2.10. Topography translator based on the double parallelogram mechanism 2.10.1. Topography translator design 2.10.2. Order of operation with the topography translator 2.10.3. The stone block processing sequence in the polygonal masonry by the translator 2.10.4. Specifics of the topography translator application 3. Polygonal masonry peculiarities, questions related to dating and authorship, economical grounds, tired stones, symmetry and similarity of some ancient statues 3.1. A general bulge of the front side and a swell in its lower part, bosses, bridges, custs, steps at the triple junctions, polygonal bas-relief facing 3.2. Indirect dating by the observed destructions of the masonry elements 3.3. How to prove it? What should we look for and where? 3.4. Indirect dating by the invention time of the 2D and 3D pantographs 3.5. Who built this, when, what for and with what funds? 3.5.1. A few words about the role of the Vatican 3.5.2. The Monroe Doctrine 3.5.3. In the bottom line 3.6. Fortress Sacsayhuaman, the simplest star-shaped fortress 3.7. Phenomenon of the tired stones 3.7.1. The tired stones of Ollantaytambo 3.7.2. The tired Aswan obelisk and the tired Baalbek parallelepipeds 3.8. Fabrication of symmetrical and geometrically similar statues by means of a 3D pantograph 3.8.1. The beautiful one has come and is not going to leave. It is time to say, goodbye baby. Additional arguments against the authenticity of the world-famous bust 3.9. Sabu disc and the talking statues of the ancient Egypt 4. Discussion references and additional materials. Besides answering the questions posed in the title, the book presents a number of interesting results obtained in passing. Since the 3D pantograph allows to create three-dimensional objects with a high degree of mirror symmetry, the author has evaluated the symmetry of the Queen Nefertiti bust and analyzed the process of its fabrication. In the course of the conducted research, facts were found that prove for certain that the world-famous bust is forgery. Strikingly, the so-called tired stones in Ollantaytambo, the unfinished obelisk in Aswan, and the Baalbek monoliths reveal a number of similarities. A careful examination of these incredibly ancient monuments results in a disappointing conclusion that they are all fakes. In particular, it turned out that the tired stones were scattered by unknown falsifiers along the road supposedly leading from a quarry to the construction site much later than the building time of the fortress temple Ollantaytambo itself. By analyzing the characteristic traces left by the falsifiers on the surface of the Aswan obelisk and around it, it was possible to understand and reconstruct how and with what tools this obelisk was actually formed. At the end of the book, an interesting idea is expressed explaining the functional purpose of the mysterious Sabu disc, which has been exciting the minds of Egyptologists around the world for decades. Rostislav V. Lapshin, Ph.D., a lead specialist of the Department of Quantum Technologies of the Kurchatov Institute. A researcher, microscopist, mathematician, developer, inventor. Author of several dozen scientific articles and inventions in the field of scanning probe microscopy and nanotechnology. The proposed solutions, methods and designs have been published in reputable domestic and international academic journals. A native of the city of Belgorod. Graduate of the Bauman Moscow State Technical University, Faculty of Radio Electronics and Lasers. From 1990 to 1996, a research engineer at the Delta Microelectronics and Nanotechnology Research Institute. From 1996 to 2022, a staff scientist at the Institute of Physical Problems named after F.V. Lukin. Scientific interests: scanning tunneling microscopy, atomic force microscopy, scanning probe microscopy, optical profilometry, infrared microscopy, nanometrology, nanotechnology, catalytic magnetic nanoparticles, micromechanical IR detectors, analytic geometry of polygons, Peruvian polygonal masonry. The Rus patent entered 5 inventions of the author in the list 100 Best Russian Inventions. In 2015, the World Intellectual Property Organization awarded the Medal for Inventors for contribution in the field of scanning probe microscopy. A Fellow of the Russian Society of Scanning Probe Microscopy and Nanotechnology. A Referee of the Review of Scientific Instruments, Measurement Science and Technology, and Nanotechnology Journals.